So the other day, Nick Fuentes did an interview with Piers Morgan, and a lot of people are talking about it. I watched it the other day, and it was pretty good. My initial reaction is that Nick clearly won the debate. People who are making the argument that Piers won it are coping. Even people on the left have acknowledged, yeah, totally, Nick won it. Anyone who watched the whole thing can acknowledge that he handled himself very well. Overall, it was a really interesting conversation. Probably one of the better interviews I've seen with Nick, because it was kind of interesting to see the back and forth. And I think the debate really highlighted the difference between the generations, right? You have the more boomer side with Piers Morgan, and then you have Nick, who kind of represents the younger Gen Z conservatives. And, you know, that divide is really on full display, right, in that debate, right? Where, you know, Piers Morgan is caught up on all these terms and labels, and Nick just doesn't care. And I think that's why Nick is so popular, is he doesn't care about being called different things. And in some cases, he even accepts it. And, you know, you can disagree with that, but there's at least a little bit of a respectable, sense to that, where, he stays, true to what he believes, regardless of what people may call him. And you can disagree with what he believes, but I think that's still a little bit respectable. So overall, I think the debate was really good. I encourage people to watch it. I had fun watching it. You know, it was funny at times. Nick is a pretty, funny person to listen to at times. In terms of like a Christian perspective, though, I would say, no one really represents Christianity all that well in the political sphere. You know, I think the only individual I would look at and say, like, I think he was a genuine believer was probably Charlie Kirk. But most people I look at and say, yeah, I think they might, you know, they might be using Christianity as kind of as a crutch or so to help them in politics. And I'm not the biggest fan of that. I think you got to be very careful when you're trying to act as if your side is the, you know, morally superior side at times in politics. I think that gets a little dangerous. So no one perfectly embodies Christianity in politics. And so when people act like, oh, you can't be Christian and listen to Nick Fuentes, it's like, no one represents it perfectly. Now, are there certain things that Nick talks about that are contrary to scripture? Absolutely. That's true of anyone in politics. And so I guess my approach would be, you know, kind of eat the meat and spit out the bones, essentially, right? Like if things that are, you know, aligning with the Bible and with reality, sure, go ahead. And things that don't, leave them to be. That doesn't mean we have to silence Nick or to not talk to him or not talk about him or not watch him. I think that's foolish. Overall, though, I think Nick isn't the greatest representative of Christianity. You know, he's kind of a little foul with his language and stuff, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. But overall, you know, if people want to listen to him, who cares, right? At the end of the day, it's a free country. Let people discuss their beliefs and their ideas, and let's try to just, you know, have that conversation with humility and with love.